Okay, apologize for being late. Busy day, but a good day. So with our players, looking at the last game and making corrections and starting on the Saints going forward. So we're excited about where we're at, and we're looking forward to where we're going. What questions you have?
John, you always hear what coaches, when they are getting to have that extra time, that mini bye, they always appreciate it. Do you think that came at a good time for you guys, especially with the health and things like that?
Well, yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, they come. These games come when they come. We've got a kind of an interesting setup here with the Thursday game, then a Monday game, then a bye. So hopefully we can take maximum advantage of that in terms of opportunity to recover from some of those things you're talking about, and get some guys healthy, get some guys ready that are coming back. That's all part of it. But really the focus is going to be on the one game, Monday Night Football in New Orleans. We've played there before on Monday night. It's just going to be rocking. I mean, that crowd down there is crazy. It's loud. It's inside. Obviously, they're coming off a big win against the Raiders, dominant win. So that's an excellent football team. So we're going to have our full focus and attention on this game coming up.
Coach, some of the rookies, most notably Linderbaum, Hamilton, and Unlikely, you see that the speed of the game sort of slowing down for them now, and then sort of taking the next step here in the first season?
Yeah, Todd, I do. I mean, they're all playing kind of at a high level. I mean, for where they're at, they're just starting out. I know they're young guys. They're halfway through their rookie season now. All three of those guys are doing, in their own right, doing some really good things out there. To see Isaiah step up finally, not that he wasn't playing well, he was playing well, but now he got some real opportunities to make some plays and made them for us, Not the least of which was recovering the onside kick at the end of the game. So, we don't take any of that lightly. He was good. Yeah, you got that. See? Somebody got that. Thank you. Kyle, give Kyle like he blocked really well in a lot of ways. I mean, he's going up against one of the best nose guards in football. And I think he might have got him one time, but Kyle settled down and played great. Blocking the second level was excellent. Then the unsung parts, I mean, all the snaps were right there. All the stuff Lamar was doing with the ball handling, those snaps were right there with a really good nose guard lined up over him. So he played exceptionally well. Then Kyle's role, I think, continues to expand, and you can see him kind of growing into it. We're kind of figuring out, where he fits and what we're doing, and he stepped up, made some excellent plays. I mean, that coverage on the goal line where he knocked the ball away, you just can't be done any better than that. And so we're happy with all those guys.
John, you said after the game you had to wait the next day, if I'm not mistaken, on any update on Gus Edwards. Do you have one?
Yeah, Gus has a hamstring, so he'll be day-to-day probably. We'll see about the Monday night game. He'll have a chance. It's a mild hamstring. But you never know about those. It's just how it goes. Bateman's a little bit more disappointing in the sense that after the game they thought it was a kind of a tweak, but there's a little more there from a strain standpoint. So that's going to be conversations will be had. It looks like it's going to be a few weeks for him, and then we'll have more to report on that later in the week.
John, Justin Houston obviously playing really well. He's got a great track record over his career as a passer, but in his second year here, have you seen anything, what enables him to be so effective, so efficient, as a pass rusher, maybe more so than last year?
Yeah, I think no different than last year. He's kind of rushing the passer the same way. Sometimes the sacks come your way too. I think Adafi would say, some of those sacks should have come my way too. Some of it's just kind of good fortune. It just unfolds that way, and all of a sudden he's the free guy. But he's still very talented. I mean, that's the thing about Justin. I know he's been in the league for a long time, but he's still gifted. I mean, he's powerful. He's explosive. He's got strong hands. Throws guys around. He's got leverage. He's got really good feet. He still can move. He's still got it. And it's showing up.
John, going back to Linderbaum for a second. It seems like the guys who study offensive line play and they'll post things online, they just seem to get really excited watching him play, particularly the mobility, the way he can get out to the second level and hit linebackers. I mean, has that been exciting for you as well? And does it open up new dimensions for the running game?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's reaching guys, he's reaching shades. He's reaching three techniques sometime, which is pretty incredible. So it's the stuff that you saw in college, and you always ask yourself, is this going to transfer to the NFL? That's really that's the game of the draft, so to speak, and the evaluation part of it. And I would say so far, so good. His game is transferring very well to the NFL.
John, as a follow-up to that, I mean, this run game continues to evolve from year to year. We've seen, gap stuff, zone stuff, a lateral stuff with Duvernay. I mean, do you feel like this is just a very different kind of run game from the one that you've had in years past, and does having that diversity make it more difficult to defend on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a kind of a continuing, I mean, we use the word evolution probably too much, but it's kind of continuing growth with our run game. It's creativity of our coaches, you know. Of course, Coach Roman does a great job, and all of our coaches, Coach Joe D, all of our coaches do a good job of developing that run game, but it's always a moving target because, you know, it's got to be. They take measures to take something away, then you've got to have the next step, and you kind of, sometimes you know where you're going, sometimes you come up with something. I just appreciate the creativity of our coaches. We're really challenging people the full width of the field with the run game, and then you add in the RPOs and the play action passes. That brings depth into play. So, yeah, we've got some really good stuff going with the run game scheme-wise. It comes down to execution at the end, though. You know, and in the second half, our guys did a great job of that.
Speaking of jet sweeps, Devin Duvernay, I mean, continues to be really hard to stop on this. Is this kind of the all-around role for him that you envisioned when you guys first brought him here?
You know, I hadn't thought about that in a while, Ryan, but I would say yes. I think it's a really good observation because those are things he did in college, right? He's that kind of a guy where he can put the ball in his hands. He can run routes underneath. He can run deep crossers. He can go deep. Return man. You know, he's been very valuable.
Kind of backing up on that, Duvernay, he had the touchdown in the red zone on Thursday. Him kind of getting more and more effective in his role, does that give you more confidence to call those type of plays for him in the red zone going forward?
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, I think when you see it, you know, it's not something that we weren't thinking about doing in there, but it's good to see it come up in there, you know. And obviously the red zone, like you say, it's tough to run the ball. There's not a lot of room to throw. So some of the misdirection stuff is really good, you know, and they start packing it in a little bit, and then you try to run outside. You know, they spread it out a little bit, you try to run inside, or you try to throw inside, and that's the game. But whenever a player does something well, or he kind of shows that he's a real problem for the defense, you definitely want to keep coming back to it.
John, tomorrow is the trade deadline, I believe. Do you anticipate any sort of movement possible?
If I did, then the cat would be out of the bag, you know. But, you know, I know Eric, and I know how Eric is, you know, and I wouldn't be honest to say he hasn't talked to me about, you know, what he's trying to do or what he's thinking about doing or what you can do, but it takes two to tango, you know. So we'll see how that all goes, but, you know, you never know.
John, I think Wednesday is the deadline day for you guys to activate Tyus and Ojabo to 53. I guess, have you had any setbacks with that, and do you have any expectation of that possibly coming back on Monday?
Yeah, that's a fair question. I might as well just tell you, yeah, they'll be activated. You know, so they'll both be activated and available, and we'll see what happens. I mean, I would expect, you know, I think Tyus will be ready to play for sure. You know, and really kind of comes back to Tyus, you know, saying I'm going. You know, he wants to be mentally ready to go, so you can ask him. But I'm kind of counting on him, you know, to be honest with you. And he has targeted, you know, this game, so we'll see. And then Jabo, you know, David's a little different. We'll see where he's at with it in terms of being ready. He's a rookie. But he would also be possible as far as playing in the game Monday night.
How hard is it with a situation like a Jabo to figure out when he's ready to play, when you didn't get a training camp with him, you didn't get to do the normal stuff?
It's hard. It's hard. I mean, where's he at? You know, we got to get him out there, practice more, and see what he looks like. You know, he hasn't really been in any teams yet, period. So we got to take a look at the team period, see how much he knows with the defense. And you're right. You just got to see what it looks like. That's where we're at right now.
John, with the ties and just kind of the trickle-down effects that he can have, I know you expect your outside linebackers to play a lot of different positions, but is there any benefit, you think, to getting him back at the strong side and moving Adafe to the weak side and just being at the position where they're most comfortable?
Right. Well, Adafe really, it depends what package you're talking about, you know. So Tyus' strong side goes in as a Sam in the base package. That's really not something Adafe really does. Maybe certain calls, you see him over there, the strength, the tight end side or the strength of the formation. But, you know, Adafe is more of a defensive end. Tyus is more of an outside linebacker. So Adafe can play on 2 feet. He certainly does. He drops. Did a great job this past week dropping. But Tyus is a true linebacker who rushes the passer. So, yeah, definitely different roles. And I think you'll see that, you know, when they're both out there together.
We didn't ask you about any injuries. That's still
what you said after the game, is that still kind of imply where you don't think that's, anything that could force him to miss some time?
Well, I mean, as soon as I say that, then, something happens, like with Bateman, so, but it still looks, Andrews looks like it's not a major thing. It's something he's dealing with, like a lot of guys do, but I think he'll be okay.
And with Bateman, is it the same, basically it wasn't a new injury?
No.
Okay.
Right.
What have you seen? There's a lot of anticipation about maybe Deshaun Jackson just because, his career and he's been here for a couple weeks. What have you seen from his development, and do you think if you needed him, he's ready to go?
I do. I mean, I think, first of all, I'll just preface it by saying, he is 36 years old. So, but he's a good-looking 36, I can tell you that. He looks great. And I say that from the standpoint of he's running around really good, so you guys have seen him at practice. So, he's a possibility. I think he probably feels like he's ready to go, and if he is, he could be out there.
Bateman caught a couple deep passes the first 2 weeks of the season, and you guys haven't had that as much when he's been injured. Is that the type of thing you anticipate Deshaun maybe eventually being able to provide?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. He could. I would love to see him make some big plays. That would be the hope for Deshaun. He can do all the other things too, but he still can run. He's looked good at practice.
Okay, Jones.
Were your parents able to watch?
Were your parents able to watch?
Oh yeah, yeah, they were. They figured it out. Yeah, I don't know who talked to him. Probably Megan Rosberg got him schooled up. But good question. Thanks for caring. Yeah.